What is up? Welcome back to another video. I just heated up some coffee, so let's get into some legal documents. Let's just jump into it. So I think in direct response to my video and not to the other many videos that were made regarding this topic, Cinestill has come out with a bit of a clarification, a bit of a oopsie. We goofed, and it's kind of funny. I got this information off of Nico's photography show. He talked about how Cinestill came out and was talking about stuff, so I clicked on the document. I didn't listen to his take on it because I felt like what's better than my unprofessional lack of legalese, understanding of trademarks, so on and so forth. But I glanced over it a little bit, so you won't be getting like my full raw emotional reaction. It's like a little bit more curated and caffeinated, which I think is just better for everyone in general. But if we look over here, it says trademark statement. This is the Cinestill trademark statement and policy. I'll put the link for this down below if you're interested in reading it. It's not really that important. I just found it to be kind of juicy. The message goes out to the film photography community that we continue to serve. Over the past week, we have listened and been slow to react, always following our core values. We understand the concerns some of you have with our trademark policy and would like to clarify our practices. First of all, we'd like to address recent statements made on the Cat Labs blog post regarding a supposed lawsuit. We wanted to make it unequivocally clear that there is no truth to these claims. Cinestill has not initiated any litigation against them or any other small business, despite their efforts to bait us into a legal dispute. Oopsies. Shots fired. These claims are fabricated for their own gain, and we will not stand for false accusations. Okay. While we are glad to see that several independent news outlets, photographers, and other businesses have reinforced the reality that Cinestill has never sued a single person or business, we've noticed that one major point of contention remains, which revolves around our good faith decision to register our trademarks. A decision not based on what they are worth to us, but rather what they are worth as product source identifiers to consumers and the community. We hope this candid statement provides some context to our original decision to register our two-word marks and our obligations to protect those trademarks from recent infringements. They want to do this thing where they, create a trademark on this title, on 800T, 800 tungsten, whatever you call it. And they're like, oh, they could potentially sue. And then Cinestill's like, no, we wouldn't. But I feel like if you were to produce a product under that name, if you had like a pre-existing product, and then Cinestill's like, that's ours now, and then you try to continue to produce it, then there could be grounds for litigation. So I feel like while it wasn't necessarily them saying, oh, we are going to sue you, it's like, it could lead to that. We have intentions on creating a trademark, which would thus give us grounds to pursue legal action against you. So, like, yes, but also, I feel like it's splitting hairs. Again, I'm like, I'm not the person to listen to for law advice. I think I watched like the first episode of Suits, if that counts, which I don't think it does. I've watched Law and Order while I was like waiting somewhere. It was like on the TV in a waiting room. That's about as much lawyering experience as I have. So don't listen to me. But I do think this goes on to say a few things, which I do find interesting. They're talking about the intellectual property and the establishing commerce. And this is all kind of in regards to, while the name exists in the free space and while the efforts that they put in have been and are easily replicated, what Cinestill believes they have established, which I would agree with, is consistency in form that people have used. And when you go buy Cinestill film, you are relying on a quality product. Like, you're not crossing your fingers as much as you might be for other films, for films on Etsy or for films that your friend made or whatever. Like, you're not as worried because it's Cinestill. It is a brand. It is something that you can trust, which I get. Like, I think that that's important, and I understand that they want to register a trademark to kind of separate themselves from the other, like, people with maybe, the other bad actors in the space who are trying to exploit this fairly easily replicated process that they could then turn a profit on based off of the good word of the Cinestill brand. Totally get that. I think the problem, though, that I had with it from the get was just this idea that, like, well, we did it. And that might not have been the verbiage that they used, was that they created this process, they created this or whatever. But I think that was how it came across. And I think that this kind of reinforces that a little bit by saying, like, we've earned the right to do this. And, like, yes, they have found ways to, like, mass produce 35 millimeter and medium format in this manner, in a consistent, reliable way. Fantastic. But I guess my problem is it's still very unaffordable for, like, a lot of people. And I think when you are making it more challenging for other people in the space to come up and create their own stuff, then that, you know, again, creates a market in which it's not as healthy, because it's not a competition-based market. It's, we have a monopoly over this process and it's ours. I do understand where they're coming from, but I do think from a consumer in the space, I like the competition. Like, I want each of the companies to kind of be, like, vying for a position of, like, oh, well, if we're going to start doing this, we're going to not be able to compete here, so we're going to start making this kind of film instead, or, like, bring these products out or whatever. And all of that means there's more market space. Like, it's weird to me that it's coming out as, like, we weren't going to sue, but we're going to sue if you continue, you know, like, I don't know, it's just funny to me. Last year, a wave of generic, not using the trademark or trade dress of Cinestill, knockoff, using confusingly similar trademarks and or trade dress, and counterfeit, using identical trademarks and or trade dress, imitation products started popping up in China. We purchased samples and began testing them for market research, and some of them turned out to just be respooled leftover motion picture film. But just a few proved to have the remjet removed prior to exposure. Our testing identified a range of issues, including chemical contamination, remjet embedded into the emulsion, reduced film speed, and fogging. Although they were spooled in different 135 cassettes with different designs and materials used, the one thing these films had in common was damage in a pattern, which signified that they were all modified by the same source and concluded that they were from a single unknown origin. When these films eventually began to make their way into the US and Europe, some of them were infringing or diluting our registered trademarks, although many were repackaged by companies that chose to fairly brand them with distinctive product identifiers. Search engines aiding consumers to identify and distinguish Cinestill goods were yielding dozens of results for Cinestill and 800T from listings that were using our trademarks to market the products. Oh, spelling errors, guys. You missed the end quotations for the 800T. On it like a fucking hawk, you know? Like, putting that film degree to work. I'm going to now just go down to their response, because I've not read this part, so this will be a very live reaction. Our response: we have heard you. We recognize that our communications with small film retailers and film brands about the products they were selling and the content of their product listings could be interpreted as inconvenient and frustrating, I would say, or even intimidating at worst. That's exactly what I would say it was. To me, it seemed very intimidating. Like, we are this brand, and now that we've reached this upper echelon of redeemed quality, pulling up the ladder no one else can come with. That's exactly how I interpreted it, and for that we apologize, as that was not at all our intention. With our resources and experience, we did the best we could with the tools that we had and are always striving to do better. We remain committed to working with partners, retailers, and other small film brands on suggesting alternative titles and descriptors, ensuring that we explore all possibilities and find the most suitable options. We have already compromised to limit the impact on all parties involved in the sale of infringing products. The collaborative nature of our interactions with an abundance of retailers and film brands over the course of our history serves as an example of good faith in the face of mischaracterization. At the core of our values is the recognition that film retailers are the lifeblood of both the community and the industry. We take great pride in working with and supporting film retailers. They are the driving force behind the vibrant film community that we know and love. Thank you to everyone who has supported us from the beginning, from our partners, dealers, customers, and friends, for checking in with our team, sending nice and encouraging messages, sharing beautiful images made on Cinestill, and allowing us time to clarify our position. So many of you even ask how you can support us during this time. Here's how. Keep shooting film. It doesn't doesn't even need to just be our film, any film. This is a medium we truly love. This blah, 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 blah. We hope the statement provides blah, 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 blah. Basically, blah, 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 blah. So after all this, we hope that the statement provides some context to our decision to register Cinestill and 800T as trademarks. We understand and respect any difference of opinion that people may still have. We will continue to work every day to channel our efforts into helping demystify the modern analog photography workflow. We strive to foster a supportive and diverse community where photographers can connect, share, and learn from one another. As always, we're here for the community and are eternally excited to share what's next. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. I just feel like it's the same shit. So my thought on this is this line in particular makes me laugh a little bit. We strive to foster a supportive and diverse community. Now, what I'm hearing when I hear that is like they're talking about the content of the users of that community, which would be supportive and diverse, which I completely agree with. Like, I think, honestly, that's why I like to sell my cameras for the least amount I can, because I want everyone to be able to have a camera. That's why I try to make my services as inexpensive as I can. That does make my returns not great in terms of like finances, but that's fine. Anyway, all I'm saying is I think everyone should do it. Like, I think film photography is so awesome. I think any kind of photography, any kind of like artistic expression is fantastic. And I think everyone should have the opportunity and the tools they need to pursue that, regardless of how you identify or how you don't identify, whatever. Just, I think you should just be able to do it, and like, I don't ever want to be somebody to pull up the ladder, But that being said, fucking wind just blew open my door. My thoughts and opinions on the whole situation have not really changed much. I think I'm still not going to be shooting Cinestill anytime soon because I just don't really like the film to begin with. I've had very inconsistent results despite their claims of consistent quality. I talked about it earlier, but what happens sometimes because there's no remjet, it does create a little bit more fragility in the film. And when I've rewound Cinestill, sometimes if you do it too fast, you get like these weird static markings and stuff. Again, I think it's cool to kind of have this competitor in the mix. But I think when they start like pulling up, I mean, imagine if Kodak saw this and was like, you know what? You guys are kind of ruining the look of Kodak motion picture film. So they stopped selling it to Cinestill. They're within their right to do it. It's their product. They don't want to sell it to Cinestill to protect the Kodak brand because of what I just said. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it seems a little bit short-sighted. I think I understand their desire to protect their brand and to kind of cover their ass, but I do think still it's a little bit shitty. I've not seen any of these like foreign films. I've not seen any of the copycats. Granted, I don't look for Cinestill 800T. I don't look for 800T film that much. That being said, I've not seen or heard anything of it. I'm sure it is an issue, otherwise they wouldn't have done all this. But I do think in doing all of this, it does burn a lot of bridges. I know for a lot of photographers that I talk to on a regular basis, Cinestill now kind of has a little bit of a black mark on them, so to speak, or a bit of a bad taste in their mouth, because it's like, I don't know, just like the optics of the situation does not paint them in a good light. And I think that they're trying to kind of buy back a little bit of good faith, and I think that they kind of failed to do that in a lot of ways, because to me they just kind of seem to continue to throw the rest of the community under the bus. Feel free to do however you choose. I think that this is great in terms of clarifying their position. I think this is great in terms of outlining what they hope to achieve by trademarking things. But I think for me personally, I'm not sold. I'm really not sold. So I hope this helps. I hope you found this enjoyable video of me discussing legal documentation, which I have no authority to discuss. Again, link it down below, so check it out if you are interested. Thank you very much for watching. Appreciate it as always. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff, and I'll catch you on the next one.